Alright, this one's going to be a lot more beginner friendly, although it's not going to be literally step by step. I'm going to try to cover the most basics all the way up to exactly how I made this, and hopefully you understand. If not, I have other tutorials that maybe go more in depth of everything, but hopefully this covers everything. It's also probably going to be my longest tutorial ever. I also tried not to use too many crazy effects, that's why it's a lot more beginner friendly and you can actually understand and come out with this without getting very confused. But pretty much, let's get into this. Alright, so the first step to make an AMV would probably be get your music obviously and get your clips. If you need help with that, I have a few sites that you could use. To download anime, kind of just go to whatever anime streaming site you have, or just look up whichever ones. Sometimes I use Anime Frenzy, sometimes I use Go Anime. I don't have any links, so you kind of just have to risk it on your own. Hopefully you don't get any viruses. There's also other ways you can get clips. So once you've downloaded your music and you've downloaded your clips or whatever, you want to go ahead and just drag your music. So you can drag it from here and like just either go to your downloads or wherever it's at and then just drag it and drop it on there, or you can go ahead and click on file, click import, and then you can import the media. But that's obviously way more work. You can literally just drag it on. So once you drag it on, which I like to do, or import it, whatever you want, your music as well. So just use this music an example. So you can only have it muted, so this is how it should look, kinda, or it might be red, doesn't matter. So once you have that on, pretty much what you want to do is what I have right here. You want to listen through your entire song and like any beat or anything that should be like synced up. So like I'll show you an example here. So right here you heard two like beats or bass drums or 808s, whatever you want to call them. So 1, 2. So they're right here. So for in this case, I put a keyframe here, which I'll show you how to do. Not a keyframe, a marker, and then a marker here. So I put a marker on every time there's like a beat or anything that sounds like there should be like a cut or a transition. So even like clicks, I don't know if you could hear it right here. It's loud enough to be a clip or not a clip, a marker or a split or a transition or whatever. Other people have different type of sync styles, but realistically sync is kind of the same thing. It's just whatever you feel like should be a next scene or a next edit or a next transition, etc. So once you've heard and like once you hear them and go by, what I could do is I try to get as close as I can to where it actually happens, either the beat, the hi-hat, or whatever. You just want to click on M on your keyboard and it'll create a marker. You can name it if you want to name it. If not, just click enter and there it is. And you can also move around the marker and just listen to the beat and figure out where it's at. You can also zoom in just by scrolling with your mouse. But I don't want to go into too much basics. I'm not really trying to teach you how to use SPV as more as just how to make an anime edit. So once you know how to do this marker, like I said, just go through and however much you're going to edit of the song or your clip or whatever, just go through and mark all of it. It's going to take quite a bit, especially if you don't know how to do it in the beginning. But once you get used to it, it gets faster. It's still pretty annoying, but it's the most basic and low-key a necessity. You don't absolutely need it, but it makes it way easier. So once you have those markers, you can just keep them there because they're going to help you a lot. I'm going to go ahead and put markers on here just to give you a better example. So once you have all your audio clipped up and all your like markers, you want to go ahead and drag in your anime episode or whatever clips you have. You can just do the same thing and just drag it in. So I'll just drag something in as an example. So for the example, I just dragged in an ending. So pretty much what you want to do is just go to it and sync it up with this right here, your markers. So I'll just do an example. There's no sync right now, but I'm just putting the markers down. So I'll put a marker here and a marker here. Basically what you want to do is go to your first marker right here and find a clip that you want to use for your like first beat or beginning of the intro. For this example, we'll just use whatever clips happen. So this is one clip, as we can see it. So right here on the second marker is where my beat or whatever is there. You already synced this up before, so obviously this is going to be within sync. So once you find this marker and once you find it, you see how it's the same clip, so I don't have to do much. It keeps going, so all I have to do is go to this marker, right click on my clip, and click split. You also can click on the shortcut, which is just clicking on the clip and clicking S on your keyboard, but I just like to right click and split. But anyways, you can do whatever you want. So once you have this clip here, now you can go ahead and just skim through or play it through, and you see, okay, this is a scene change. So now we're gonna go ahead and right click and click trim split or trim start. So basically this red is saying all of this is gonna get deleted past here, and then all this white is gonna stay. So for trim start, all of that got deleted, and for trim end, all of them, everything from here got deleted. So just keep that in mind. So you want to click on trim start or alt and the bracket key right here, but I like to just click on this. So now you want to drag this forward to this right here. It should pop up like orange, as you can see. And then once you have that, just do the same thing. Make sure this is the same clip, and then go to your key for your marker, right click, and then split that. And as the example, pretty much what it does is just sync it up where this changes to the next scene, and it should change to the next scene as the beat goes on. So this should be a beat right here, so that should be synced up is what you call it. So it should be playing the song, and then either a beat or some sort of thing that makes you want to change the scene happens in the music, and then the scene changes. So you pretty much want to do that for the rest of your markers and the rest of your clips. Another thing I like to add, don't worry about too much in the beginning, you'll get better later on. Something called like flow. Pretty much the scenes that you change on every single marker actually like kind of make sense, if not tell a story, and like you're not just putting like a random scene in there. Like it kind of flows with how the whole edit is going. It's kind of hard to explain. You kind of just get used to it and make your own style later on. I guess a good example would probably be like this. See how she's at the window? This next scene, she's still at the window, so it kind of makes sense. You don't have to do that every single time, but like an example of a bad would be if it's this, and then out of nowhere it's just this. Now it could still work, it just depends on like how you're doing everything. So once you've done all of that, it should look something like this, and you just have all your clips right here. I'll play it through to show you an example, plus with my beat, show you an example of what just raw clips are. Although I think I do have, let me go ahead and just turn that off. Alright, I was gonna play through the song, but it's copyrighted, so I don't want this to get copyrighted. Pretty much it should look something like this. Just a bunch of scene changes and everything. So once you have that, that should hopefully sync up with your actual music. I wish I could show you an example, but the song I chose was copyrighted, so I don't want to get this video copyrighted. But pretty much on every scene change, there should be some sort of beat or something that makes you want to like actually change the scene, and it makes sense. So once you have all your clips compiled like this, we're gonna go ahead and start off with the most basic effect. Here's what I like to do. I like to do my wiggle shake. I have a preset on that. I have a more in-depth tutorial if you want to check that out. Pretty much we're just gonna copy these settings here, and I'll open these real quick. Pretty much you just want to copy these, and then once you've copied them, you want to go ahead and name it whatever you want to name it, and just save the preset. So once you've done that, you can put that on every single clip, and it should look something like this. I also forgot to mention that you can do it like that and just put it on every single clip, or you can also just drag this onto the actual composition. So just drag it onto like next to it or in front of it, and that'll put it on the composition. So I already have stuff on here, but they're turned off. But pretty much, if you did it right, should say composition, or should say comp site right here. And that's how you know you did it right. And pretty much what that will do is put it on the entire clips, or like the entirety of whatever is on this whole layer, I should say, or whatever it's called. It's an easier way to do it, although if you do it like this, that means that it's gonna constantly wiggle. And the difference would be if I put this on every single clip, it would wiggle, end it, wiggle, end it, and it gives it like, sometimes that's better and sometimes it's worse. It just depends on whatever you want. For this example, I'm gonna turn this up to 600, and I'm gonna go ahead and just put it on the entire clip because it makes it easier. So I'll go ahead and turn that on, and this is pretty much what it should look like. It might not look exactly like this, but pretty much it should just be like wiggling, just giving it like a nice little like movement. And then we're gonna go ahead and add just like, I usually do this at the end, but for this example, I'm just gonna do it now just so you can get like rid of it and I won't forget about it. But you want to go down to S flicker. It is optional, but pretty much what this will do is just give it obviously what the name is called. It gives it like a flicker. You just want to drag this and put it right here on the composition, or you can do it again and put it on every single clip. It just depends on what you want to do. So once you've done that, I guess you can copy my settings, but realistically this is literally a default one. All I do is sometimes change the amplitude. And once you've done that, it should look something like this. As you can see, there's like a slight flicker on it. And then another thing to change kind of just the style and the vibe of it is something called magic blur looks. If you don't have this effect, I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I would recommend trying to get it because it can change everything. As an example right here, this is with it off, that's with it on. A better example would be like right here, off, on, off, on. And you can kind of just change the entire vibe of it. It's not just this effect. People use it for like every preset. So with all of those on, we now affected all the clips, and now it looks something like this. Already kind of changes the entire vibe of how the anime is and how the clips are. It's just a simple thing that you can do. Now obviously it's not a fully completed edit yet, but we'll get into the effects right now. Alright, so once you have all of that on there, pretty much what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go up to S blur mode curves. So pretty much what this is going to be a zoom in, zoom out, zoom in, zoom out, whatever order we want to put it in. I'm kind of just going to go over the basic and like any like extra examples I did, but this is pretty much the basic of it. I do have tutorials on this. I have like 3 of them with this same effect. I also have one that goes like only this effect. So if you really want to learn this one, you can go watch that. Pretty much you drag this in. There's not really much to copy. It's just this. You can save the preset if you want. You want to click animate right here. Go to your first keyframe. You want to go forward 3. You want to change this to 0.800. And you want to go all the way to the end. Make this 0.1. And then go 3 keyframes backwards. 1, 2, 3. You want to go ahead and make that 1000. I also like to mention that I like to use these down here for the keyframes, but you also can use your arrow keys. You just want to click on this. And these are your keyframes. So once you've done this, you want to go down to the bottom right here of these. You want to right click, make it slow. Right click, make this one fast. Right click, fast. And it should look something like this. And then your clip should look something like this. And then for the next one, you want to go to your next clip right here, and you want to put the same effect on there, but you want to make this 1200. Animate. Go to your first keyframe, make sure that's 1200. Then you want to go forward 3. Go ahead and make that 1000. Go all the way to the back. Put that at 1200, and then go back 3. Go ahead and make that, we'll go with 800 this time. And then you want to make this slow, make this fast, make this fast, and this one fast. That's pretty much going to stay the same. This one's always going to be slow and the rest are going to be fast. And it should look something like this. Alright, in this example, it kind of zooms in too much. So you want to go right here on this one. You want to change this to like, we'll go with 0.9. So now it looks something like this. Kind of wanted to zoom in just slightly more. So we'll go with 0.787. You kind of just mess around with this number. This is like, kind of just mess around with this number till you get the zoom in that you like. I go more in depth of like what each keyframe does and everything on my ads tutorial for zoom in and zoom outs. I'm just not going to do it here because it'll take way too long. So you can go check that out. But we got this and we'll keep it like that. And now you can pretty much just do that on and off for the rest of the clips. So basically for this next clip, you would do this one where it goes from 0 100 to 800 to 1000 to 0.100. And then for this clip, you're gonna go to 1200 to 1000 to 800, whatever, and 1200. So once you've done that, pretty much you'll get something like this. Although there are some things that I changed and I'll go over those right now, but this is pretty much what it'll look like. So I'll go over some things that I changed. So this beginning clip also has something that I added. I don't know if you can really see it, but we'll go over that in a second. But these first few ones is really what you want to look over. So I have just the regular zoom in, zoom out, zoom in, and these stay the same. This is consistent all the way up to here. It's the same thing. So this one zoomed in, this one zoomed out, zoomed in, zoomed out, zoomed in, zoomed out. You get the point, right? And I change it up right about here. So the first example I have, something different that I did, was a double zoom in right here. So it was one zoom in right here, right there. Alright, for those, all you want to do is just focus on this one right here, the S blur mode curves, this very top one. What you want to do is just the same thing I did here, 0.3 or 0.200 in your case, but this case I did 0.300. You want to go to this keyframe, which should be 3 out, and you want to make that 1000. You want to go to the very end, make that 1100, and then go 3 keyframes this way or backwards. Then you should put this at either, this number can always change, remember, so this could be either 0.900, 0.700, 0.800, whatever you like best. For this example, we did 0.8.5. So once you copy this, make that, remember, fast, fast, slow, slow. So to make it more an example, basically what I did was, instead, so a regular clip of this would be 0.300, 1000. This number would probably stay the same, and the only difference is the last keyframe. I would put this at 1300, and that will be the regular. But for this one, since we're doing a double zoom in, it's gonna go down. So it goes up and then down, if you can see it. So once you put this at 0.100, you can also change this number you want, but I have more in depth obviously in the other tutorial. But then you want to go to your next clip, and the difference on this one is you're going to want to go ahead and do, so only focus on this one again, blur mode curves. You're going to want to do 0.300. So you went from 0.100 and you're going into the next clip at 0.300. So this clip ends off at 0.100. This clip starts at 1300. And then obviously 3 keyframes in, 1000, 3 keyframes in, go to the end, 1300, and then 900. So the only thing that made it a double zoom in was the fact that we made this zoom in with 1100 and we made this zoom out in a sense. I go more in depth if you don't really get it in my other tutorial, so you can just watch that. And then obviously it goes back to zooming out. And then right here I did another example of a double zoom in. And then right here I do an example of, I think, a triple zoom out or a double zoom out. I'm not sure. So it's one zoom out, another one, and I think it goes back in. Yeah, so it was a double zoom out here. So it's actually a triple zoom out. I have a zoom out right here, one right there, one right here, and it looks something like this. So that's how it looks, and that's pretty much how you do it. So for this clip right here, all I did was, so remember, focus on the S blur mode curves. All I did was go from 1300, 1000. Obviously this number changes, but don't go higher than 900, up to 1300 again. So this initiates the first zoom out. Now how you connect that, so for the next clip you want to connect it with 0.100, 3 keyframes out, 800, go to the end, 1300, 1000. So the other one was, it went from out all the way in, like a slope like this. And in this example, we're going up. So it's basically the same thing, you're just flipping how it is. So obviously in the other example, this one was over here, and this is just flips basically. So again, 0.100, 0.8, 1000, 1300. And the same thing for all of them, fast, fast, slow, fast. And then essentially it's literally the same thing for this clip. Literally the same thing. Same numbers, everything. The next clip. This one is the only one that changes because we go back into a zoom in. But pretty much it would have been the same if you kept zooming out. This clip is the same thing as well. The only difference is that at the end we zoom back in. So 1000. And then instead of going to 1300 here, we went back down to a 0.100. So right here it's just the same thing, zoom in, zoom out, etc. Alright, so basically at the end you should have something like this. You can do however many zoom in or zoom outs you want to do, and whatever style or pattern you want to do, it's up to you. This is pretty much just how you do it, but you should have something like that. It depends on whatever style you're doing. I'm going to explain this because we're going to do this next. But pretty much in the beginning, if you look closely, there's like a pinch right here. And what that is just pinch / punch. And you find that on the video effects. And scroll up till you find it. So it's right here. You want to drag a reset to none on there. And just copy these. So once you drag a reset to none here, you want to click on animate. And scroll down to where it's at right here. You want to drag this about 3 keyframes. So this one's the 3 keyframes. You want to drag it slightly above it. There's no real like marker as to where you should put it. I just wouldn't put it farther. Like this is where you want to put it, right where it starts to zoom in, but I like to put it just slightly above just so you can see it. And you want to make that slow, obviously. And then you want to go to this, you want to go all the way to the beginning, and you want to drag the amount. You want it to put it in the negatives, you don't want to put it in the positives. Because when you put it in the positives, it makes it like, let me see if I can show you an example. See how it's bigger? It's like a meme. While if you pull this in the negatives, it goes in. I wouldn't go all the way down to this number, but you can go to whatever number you want. So for our example, we went all the way down into 783. The number doesn't stay the same. You can change it however much you want. And you just want to do this. So slow, fast, and it's about 5 keyframes away, but there's no real markers, just as long as either right here or slightly in front of it. And that should give you this like more pull to the zoom in. Now you don't want to do this to every clip. I only like to do this on, I think either, yeah, the zoom ins. I do them on the zoom ins. So as an example here, starts here. This one I changed the number a bit, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. This one was only 4. As you can see, all I'm doing is making sure that it's a little bit above this one or at this one. And I'm only doing these, so I didn't do it here because it zooms out, but I did it here because it zooms in. Now you can mess with it however you want. You also can put it wherever you want, but I would recommend only doing it on the zoom ins. This is pretty much how it'll look. Now again, you don't have to do this for, realistically you don't have to do it at all. You don't have to do it for any of the clips, but if you want to do it, this is what I use. This gives it a slight bit more impact. Now pretty much how it looks. You can barely really notice it, but you know, it's something you can add if you want it. So I'm gonna go over this because I only used it once. And this is the glow edges. So pretty much what you want to do is go find glow edges on here. So here it is, S glow edges, and just drag a default on this. Go ahead and just copy this that I have right now. So all we're really gonna animate is the glow brightness. So you can click animate on that. Another thing is you can change the color here, and it'll change the outline color. For this example, we're just gonna use white. Then you kind of like really just guess as to where you want it to end. So if I wanted this to last longer, I'd obviously drag this to the end. If I wanted it to last shorter, I put it up in the front. You want to go to the end and obviously put it at 0 to end it. And then with that on, it should look something like this. Just a little effect if you want to use it or not. So next up is my bouncy shake or rotate shake, whatever you want to call it. Pretty much all it's going to do is give it like a, you see that bounce that I gave it right there? I like to add that to almost every single one of my clips and all my shakes. I've done a tutorial on this shake I think 2 times already. So if you have it already, then just drag the preset on there. If not, this is what you're going to want to copy. So pretty much just go ahead and copy all of these right now. Alright, once you've copied my settings, go ahead and click animate on the amplitude. And for this one, you just want to like kind of guess where you want it to end. So you just want to, wherever you want it to end. In this case, we ended it right here. You just obviously click 0 on the amplitude, and that's where it ends. And you kind of just drag this around wherever you want until you get something that you like. For this example, we just put it like near the end, which is usually where I keep all of them. But there. Pretty much should look something like this, depending how you change it. You also can change the amplitude to make it more aggressive or less noticeable. And you're pretty much just going to put that on every single one of your clips, or however many clips you want to put them on. So once you put on whatever clips you wanted, it should look something like this. It's a very slight shake. You don't really notice it too much, but it's there. Alright, before I go on to the final shake and one of the final effects, just want to put this out here. So this effect that I have on here, this is without it, this is with it. It doesn't just change the color. If you animate it how I animate it, it should look something like this. I kind of do this constantly throughout the actual edit. So pretty much to do this, you want to go ahead and just find this preset real quick. So you want to scroll up till you find HSL adjust and just drag a default on there. Then once you have the default on there, pretty much all you want to animate is add hue, and this should just change the color as to what it's on. And what I like to do is I like to just start from the highest number, 1000, and just scroll it all the way down to 0. Yeah, you can change that. You can make it change as much as you want, and that pretty much will just change the color and the hues of everything. For example, this is red, this is blue, and it'll change that to like red and this to blue. Alright, I'm not going to show that one just because I only have it on like 2 clips, but for the final and like kind of last piece, you want to go and find S dissolve shake. You just want to drag a default on your clip. You just want to go ahead and copy my settings right now. Just want to go ahead and copy my settings right now. So once you have those saved, just go ahead and name it whatever you want to name it and click save preset. So now you want to animate amplitude and frequency and go to your first keyframe. So amplitude should be at 5000 and frequency at 20. Then you want to go forward 4 keyframes. You want to change the amplitude to 0.500 and the frequency to 10. You want to go forward 10 keyframes from here, and once you're there, you're going to want to head and change it to 0 and 8. Or first keyframe to the last one should only be 14 keyframes to make sure that you got it right. Now obviously these can change, so it doesn't matter even if you don't have it right, but pretty much that's all it is. So once you do that, there's a little trick you can do. You can click on the first keyframe, hold shift, click on the last one, right click and click copy. You can just drag your preset onto all the clips, or all the clips that you want the shake to be on. And once you drag it on there, go ahead and click animate on dissolve the amount, because you're not going to use this. Scroll down, click on that keyframe, hold shift, right click and click paste. So once you click paste, something might pop up. If it doesn't, go ahead and just click anywhere and then go ahead and exit out of the amount. And then there it is. The shake should be there, and just right there, and it's ready. And you can just do that for all your clips if you want to. It's like saves you time, or you can just, manually put it in if you want. Another thing I like to add on this is go ahead and add an S blur. Scroll up to S blur, go ahead and put a default on there, and go ahead and copy my settings. So once you've copied all of this, you just want to go ahead and go to your first keyframe, go forward 5 and make that 0 on that blur amount, and that's pretty much it. So with all the clips, all the effects and everything, it should come out to something like this, or something similar at least. And that's pretty much it. There's obviously a lot of other effects you can learn. You can throw in some slides, some rotations and everything. But as for like basic and just being able to do this, that's pretty much all you need to know. One thing I do is just always work on your sync and like your storytelling of the editing, and kind of just practice. Hopefully this helped. I don't know if it was clear enough of a tutorial or not, but it's pretty much how I kind of make an AMV or edit. I obviously add a few more things, but this is the most basic version and just how you really make one. Fun fact, I actually made this edit specifically just for this tutorial. It's also why it's kind of sloppy, and I have I don't know if I can find it. Yeah, right here I have mirroring. I would have got rid of that one actually, but pretty much that's pretty much what you do. Hopefully this helped. I don't know. I might make another tutorial on rotations. Probably not this week, just because this tutorial took so long and I'm gonna have to edit it. It's probably my longest tutorial. I'm guessing it's gonna be like 30 minutes long. I don't know though. If you did watch it all the way through, hopefully this helped. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments, or watch my other tutorials and hopefully it will solve your problem. But yeah.